Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is one of the paintings in a new series that I'm going after. It's called the Umber series. Going to be about maybe, I don't know, 20 or more little paintings in this series. This one I did on hardboard, but most of them are going to be done pine. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, what's defining the series is that all of the reference images that I'm using are old antique photographs. In the case of this one, I had to manipulate and enhance the contrast quite a lot. In fact, we're going to be talking about it in a minute. There's so many challenges in this painting, and this is actually the third one I've gone after, but the other two really weren't in a completed state yet. So this series is sort of similar to the Solo Pigment series, with the exception that I'm just putting the focus on earth tone pigments, all of the earth pigments, for one. For two, I am, well, what's really different is that I'm not just putting the focus on one pigment. It's just going to be a mixture of different pigments. So surprisingly, I've done four, actually. This is actually the fourth, sorry. And three of them so far I've used the green umber tone that was sent to me by an awesome patron of the channel. And you know who you are. You're an awesome individual. I really enjoy using this green umber for certain projects, and it was perfect for this. It was perfect for a lot of them. And now the green umber tone, well, let me give you all the colors in this. So I actually started painting with ivory black. That's what you see me using right now. But I'm going to switch over to Mars black at one point. And this is one of those paintings where I could see, like at the state we are right now, it was looking really interesting and going a good place. But I had that feeling in my gut, like I really don't know what I'm doing or where to go next. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that while painting, but it's not so bad, really. In fact, in the past, that might have, if you go the wrong way when that feeling hits you, you're going to crash and you're going to burn. Whereas if you just go into it and just have a feeling of exploration and fun, you can do some incredible paintings that way, and I'm really thrilled with this painting. There's things I wish it was a little more, like a little less board peeking through, but I think it works okay. And the reason I left as much peeking through as I did is that I enjoyed the fracture and movement of the brush strokes. In the process of covering up every little bit of board, what will happen is you're just going to kill all the life in the paintings. So there's always trade-offs with anything you do, and that was definitely one of the trade-offs here. Now, you can see I'm doing the drawing stage right now, and I really liked the drawing stage. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just leave it, you know? Or I was going to, in fact, if you check out the live video, which is a good one to check out, if you remember, because it's only an hour and 9 minutes, so... you know, I was thinking, you'll hear me saying there, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just let it dry. But I decided to be brave and just see it through. Now, this painting came after I'd recently been ill, and now my poor puppy dog Denny is ill. He's at the vet's right now. They're looking after him. So you can send your thoughts and prayers to little Denny. And those of you that have been with the channel a long time know that he's the studio and home dog, and you know, I'm very close to him, to say the least. Anyway, that feeling, where's this going? What am I doing? How am I going to pull this off? And I changed directions a few times. But you know, it got to that point where it's like, wow, this is a nice... Actually, I already went past that point. I'm like, here, well, I'll go ahead and make the darkest bits dark. Now, in the reference image, it was like so many old photos, you know, they're distinctly lacking in any contrast, and that's a piece of cake to fix in Photoshop. In fact, I don't know if you have Photoshop or use it. Hopefully you do. I think there's the Affinity photo editor, which I recommend as well. what you want to do is make a contrast adjustment, and then you change the what's called a merge mode to luminosity so it does not kick up the saturation. Anyway, just a tip for the real, Photoshop inclined out there. Yeah. So one of the things I really ended up loving about this was I'm riffing on mostly what I've been using in this whole process so far is ivory black and that green umber, and everything is really transparent and really beautiful and has a great airy feeling. When I started bringing in the opacity, I had to start sacrificing that. And that's okay. Actually, it's fairly typical if you think about it, because generally your shadows and your drawing is going to be transparent. And when you start bringing in the opacity, everything changes. You're going to lose things. And that's the other thing with painting. You've got to be willing to sacrifice things that are cool for the overall painting, which is what I did here, and I ended up being really thrilled with the end result. Yeah, so one of the ideas that came to me, well, maybe I'll wait till it comes up in the video, so stay tuned. Now, I do have a little bit I'm going to try and read from Carlson, but I'm sort of, we'll see if we get to that, because I want to talk a little bit more about this trepidation you can have, right? It's the fear, and it doesn't make sense to have a fear when you're talking about something that's not life or death, like a painting. But what's the point of doing a painting unless you want it to be a big success? And so I was going to just leave it as a drawing, get dry, and then I'm like, heck with it, I'm just going to jump in. Now, I should say, by the way, these are the colors I've used. So I started with ivory black. About once I started getting in, so you can see right now I'm getting into the opacity. I'm like, oh, everything is, all that cool, transparent, beautiful effect is gone. Well, it's gone. So no more crying. Now now we are going this direction. And you can see what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to leave. What you really want to avoid is ever painting in giant swaths of your painting one tone, or with just giant fat strokes, unless that's your style. Here I'm just kind of pecking away at it, and I'm leaving spaces open. Now I knew that would potentially bite me on the rear end later, because I'd have to go in and fill those in, or leave them. And as it turns out, I filled some in and I left some. But one of the things I liked best about this image was that we're moving in this band of light in the middle distance, right? And we're moving towards that, and we're kind of in this woody area. It's a bit protected from that light. It's not in deep shadow, but it's probably early morning. The photographer took the photo. I don't know. By the way, you can see how much green there is in the green umber. And so I wasn't that sure what I was going to light. And now you can see I decided, well, I have raw umber, and that's the other color. I have green umber, I have raw umber, I had ivory black, I used Mars black. And my white is lead white, I thought. And I may use lead white for most of the series, because I like lead white. And lead white is a little closer to an earth pigment than, say, titanium white. Titanium white, mostly the byproduct of some chemical doings, whereas, lead white or stack white, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they basically take these sheets of lead, they're in a coil, and you surround them by, I think it's manure, and you could tell how scientific I am. It's manure and some other ingredients, and they end up turning completely white over time, and that white is the lead white. So the lead itself turns into this beautiful white pigment, which you grind it up, you add some oil, and you've got a beautiful pigment. And I haven't been using lead white in my process for most of this year, so It's about time it had its due, and it comes in very handy. You can see these trees in the middle distance that I'm leaving there. They're kind of long. Not the darker ones, but the next ones. Those I ended up painting out completely, you'll see in a minute, and I came up with a whole different strategy, which was just to fill that all in with that kind of middle light tone. It's more light than middle light, and then I came in with that lead white and started carving out the light. Really, really great decision on my part, and not the way I usually work either. So that's what I was talking about a little earlier, when you have that trepidation, that like, oh, I don't know where this is going. I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. I don't really know what to do next. Well, my advice to you is to do something. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the next step. Yes, it begins with the first step, but it continues with the next step. You have to keep moving. And so I had lost my beautiful transparent image, gone, replaced with an opaque image, which is a little bit of an ugly duckling, but has some potential, right? And I'm fighting the fight. I'm fighting the good fight. And again, I definitely recommend, if you're not in the if you haven't joined the members area yet, you're a fly on the wall. You can hear me blow by blow talking about the struggle as I'm struggling. And I wouldn't actually, struggling maybe is the wrong word. I wouldn't say this was a full-on struggle, because I felt the composition was really interesting. And that's one other thing I want to address. I usually do not like big diagonals, and I've done some stuff to kind of ameliorate the diagonalness of it, but let's face it, it's the side of a hill, so you're not going to get away from it 100%. And like if you look at the early drawing portion at the beginning, you'll see I added a bit of a stair step thing, which kind of ended up disappearing when I come up with this. You can see I'm still struggling with those trees in the back. How am I going to handle those? I kind of like, I just made my decision. Get rid of them. And at this point, I'm thinking, maybe I got to do a second pass. I don't want to do a second pass, though, because that means I don't have a video for you. And I've used up most of my backlog, so I've got to paint to have videos for you. And that's where I came up with this idea. And you can see, oh, that's actually working real good. And one of the beautiful things about the lead white is, first of all, it's beautifully semi-transparent, for one. And working over the top of this wet paint, it actually holds its strokes as well. So it's very beautiful and very flexible. And if you haven't tried it, just because I haven't been working with it this year, doesn't mean lead white isn't the absolute coolest paint there is. I think it's PW1. It's pigment number 1, the white number 1, the king of all whites, and really the king of all paints. I have my reasons for using titanium white, mostly because it's expedient. I find that if I'm working with especially my full color work, a lot of times the lead white, I'm going to have to chuck a lot of white in there to get where I want to be in a hurry. And that's the thing with titanium. It's sort of, in a lot of ways, suited to the modern temperament more, because as moderns, let's face it, we're always in a hurry, right? So we're getting kind of close to the end here. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It's a little bit raw. I may hit it with a glaze. I'm thinking a little thin glaze of some transparent earth yellow, but that won't have that huge of an impact. Everything it is going to be what it is, so that would just give it a little bit of a kind of seal in of quality. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking your time and checking out my channel. Do you see that? That's my website. Scrolling on by. Go on over there, buy yourself a painting. Why not? or there's a donation area. Someone said they had a little trouble there, but I have received some donations recently. So, and of course, there's a members area, and there's a lot of ways to support me and drop me a comment. That's one of my favorite things, just to read your comments. You can click the like button if you want, but comments are better. I like them better. And I appreciate all the wonderful comments I get on this channel, and I appreciate you. So until I come back with another video, please do me a solid, do me a favor. Take good care of yourself and your family. Try and be patient with people that, they're struggling just to put two thoughts together. And stay out of trouble.